The sleek obsidian spacecraft sliced through the inky void, its angular hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside, two strikingly beautiful alien females sat in tense silence, their bald heads bowed and high cheekbones casting sharp shadows across their faces. Lara and Kira were being punished, exiled from their homeworld of Xandar for crimes they didn't fully understand. The Xandarian High Council had deemed their radical ideas about individual freedom and self-expression a threat to the hive mind collective. Now they were hurtling towards a primitive backwater planet called Earth, where they would be forced to live among the chaotic, unenlightened humans. "I can't believe they're doing this to us," Lara hissed, her emerald eyes flashing with anger. "Casting us out like garbage, all for daring to question their precious unity." Kira sighed, running a slender hand over her smooth scalp. "We knew the risk, sister, but I never imagined they would go this far. Savages, the lot of them," Lara spat. "Mark my words, one day they'll regret turning their backs on us." The ship shuddered as it entered Earth's atmosphere, flames licking at the heat shields. Lara and Kira braced themselves, their bodysuits automatically adjusting to the increasing G-forces. With a bone-jarring impact, the craft slammed into the ground, carving a deep furrow into a grassy field on the outskirts of a sprawling city. Steam hissed from the ship's vents as the hatch slowly opened, revealing the two aliens to a crowd of curious onlookers. Humans of all shapes and sizes gawked at the otherworldly visitors, their primitive minds struggling to comprehend the advanced technology before them. Lara and Kira emerged from the ship, their metallic bodysuits glinting in the sunlight. They stood tall and proud, refusing to show any sign of weakness before the lesser species. The humans murmured and pointed, some even daring to snap photos with their crude devices. "Pathetic," Lara muttered under her breath. "These creatures are barely more evolved than animals." Kira shot her a warning look. "Remember, sister, we must blend in if we hope to survive. It's the only way." A man in a dark suit pushed his way out through the crowd, flanked by armed soldiers. He approached the aliens cautiously, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and wonder. "Greetings," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "I am General Marcus Briggs, representing the United Earth Government. We come in peace." Lara sneered, unimpressed by the human's display of authority. But Kira stepped forward, inclining her head in a gesture of respect. "I am Kira, and this is my sister Lara," she said, her voice melodic and soothing. "We have been sent here as punishment by our people, but perhaps in time we may come to see it as a blessing in disguise." The general blinked, clearly taken aback by Kira's diplomatic words. He cleared his throat, regaining his composure. Welcome to Earth then," he stammered. "We will do our best to accommodate you during your stay. If you'll follow me, we have much to discuss." As Lara and Kira allowed themselves to be led away, they couldn't help but feel a strange sense of anticipation mingling with their trepidation. Earth was a primitive, chaotic world, full of unknown dangers and challenges, but it was also a place of great potential where an individual could be truly free. And deep down in a secret place they dared not acknowledge, both sisters wondered if they might find something else entirely unexpected on this strange planet, something called love. The stark white walls of the interrogation room felt like they were closing in on Lara and Kira as they sat across from General Briggs and his team of scientists and military personnel. The humans bombarded them with questions, their primitive minds struggling to grasp the complexities of Xandarian society and technology. "So let me get this straight," Briggs said, rubbing his temples. "You two were exiled for having radical ideas about personal freedom? That's it?" Lara scoffed, her emerald eyes flashing with disdain. "You wouldn't understand, human. On Xandar, the collective is everything. Individuality is seen as a weakness, a threat to our way of life." Kira placed a calming hand on her sister's arm. "What Lara means is that our people value unity above all else. But we believe that true strength comes from embracing our differences, not suppressing them." The general leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Interesting. And what exactly do you plan to do now that you're here on Earth?" Lara and Kira exchanged a glance, a silent conversation passing between them. They had discussed this very question during their long journey, but the answer still eluded them. We don't know," Kira admitted, her voice soft. "We never expected to find ourselves in this situation, But perhaps with your help, we can find a place for ourselves here." Briggs nodded slowly, his eyes calculating. "I see. Well, as representatives of the United Earth government, it's our duty to ensure the safety and well-being of all sentient beings on our planet. We'll do our best to assist you in any way we can." The general stood, signaling the end of the interrogation. "For now, we've arranged temporary accommodations for you in a secure facility. You'll have access to all the amenities you need, as well as a team of experts to help you acclimate to life on Earth." Lara and Kira followed the humans out of the room, their minds reeling with the sudden turn their lives had taken. As they walked through the sterile corridors of the facility, they couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. "I don't trust them," Lara whispered, her eyes darting from side to side. "They're hiding something. I can feel it." Kira frowned, her brow furrowed in thought. "Perhaps, but we have no choice but to play along for now. We need their help if we hope to survive on this primitive world." The sisters were led to a small, sparsely furnished room with 2 narrow beds and a tiny bathroom. It was a far cry from the luxurious quarters they were accustomed to on Xandar, but it would have to suffice. As the door clicked shut behind them, Lara flopped onto one of the beds with a groan. "This is a fucking nightmare," she muttered, staring up at the ceiling. "Stuck on this backwater planet with these savages." Kira sat down beside her, a wry smile tugging at her lips. "Come now, sister, it's not all bad. Think of it as an adventure, a chance to explore a new world and learn about a different way of life." Lara snorted, rolling her eyes. "You always were the optimist, Kira, but even you have to admit this situation is less than ideal." Kira sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I know, but we have to make the best of it. Who knows, maybe we'll find something here that we never even knew we were missing." As the sisters settled in for their first night on Earth, they couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were about to change in ways they never could have imagined. And deep down, in a place they barely dared to acknowledge, they both wondered if that change might just be for the better. Days turned into weeks as Lara and Kira adjusted to life on Earth. The humans provided them with everything they needed: food, clothing, shelter, but the sisters still felt like outsiders, isolated and alone in a world that was not their own. They spent their days learning about Earth's history and culture, marveling at the primitive yet strangely endearing ways of the humans. Lara found herself drawn to their art and music, the raw passion and emotion that seemed to pour out of every note and brushstroke. Kira, on the other hand, was fascinated by their science and technology, the ingenious ways they had found to overcome their physical limitations. But even as they immersed themselves in the wonders of Earth, the sisters couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. They had each other, of course, but there was a void in their hearts that they couldn't quite explain. One day, as they were exploring the sprawling city that surrounded the facility, they found themselves in a bustling marketplace filled with vendors hawking their wares. The air was thick with the scent of spices and the sound of haggling, a cacophony of sensations that overwhelmed their senses. As they wove their way through the crowd, Lara's eye was caught by a small stall selling handcrafted jewelry. The pieces were simple but beautiful, each one imbued with a sense of love and care that she had never seen before. "Look at these, Kira," she breathed, picking up a delicate silver bracelet. "The craftsmanship is exquisite." Kira smiled, running her fingers over a pair of earrings shaped like stars. "They are lovely. The humans may be primitive, but they have a way of finding beauty in the simplest things." As they browsed the stall, the vendor, a kindly old man with twinkling eyes, struck up a conversation with them. He asked about their homeworld and their reasons for coming to Earth, listening intently as they shared their story. "Ah, I see," he said, nodding sagely. "You two have been through quite an ordeal, but perhaps it was meant to be, a chance for you to find something that you never knew you were looking for." Lara frowned, her brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" The old man chuckled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Love, my dear. The greatest force in the universe. The one thing that can break down any barrier and heal any wound." Kira blinked, taken aback by the man's words. "Love? But we have each other and our duty to our people. What more could we need?" The vendor shook his head, a knowing smile on his face. "There are many kinds of love, my child. The love between sisters is a beautiful thing, but it is not the same as the love between two hearts that beat as one." As they left the marketplace, their minds buzzing with the old man's cryptic words, Lara and Kira couldn't help but feel a strange sense of longing. They had always been content with each other's company, but now they wondered if there might be something more out there, something that could fill the emptiness in their hearts. Little did they know their chance at true love was closer than they ever could have imagined. For in the shadows of the facility where they were being held, two human soldiers had been watching them from afar, their own hearts stirring with a feeling they had never known before. Sergeant Jake Smith and Corporal Alex Donovan had been assigned to the security detail at the facility where Lara and Kira were being held. They had watched the alien sisters from a distance, marveling at their otherworldly beauty and the way they carried themselves with such grace and poise. Jake, a tall, broad-shouldered man with piercing blue eyes, found himself drawn to Lara's fiery spirit and quick wit. He admired the way she stood up for herself and her beliefs, even in the face of adversity. Alex, on the other hand, was captivated by Kira's gentle nature and keen intellect. He loved the way her eyes lit up when she talked about science and technology, the passion in her voice as she described the wonders of the universe. But as much as they longed to approach the sisters, to get to know them better, they knew it was forbidden. Fraternization between humans and aliens was strictly against protocol, and they couldn't risk their careers for a chance at love. Or could they? One night, as Jake and Alex were on patrol near the sisters' quarters, they heard a commotion coming from inside. Without hesitation, they burst through the door, their weapons at the ready. What they found was not an intruder or a threat, but Lara and Kira in the throes of a heated argument. The sisters were shouting at each other in their native tongue, their faces flushed with anger and frustration. "What's going on here?" Jake demanded, lowering his weapon. Lara whirled around, her eyes flashing with fury. "It's none of your concern, human. This is between me and my sister." But Kira stepped forward, her voice trembling with emotion. "No, Lara. We need help. We can't keep going on like this, pretending that everything is fine when it's not." She turned to Alex, her eyes pleading. "Please, we need someone to talk to, someone who can understand what we're going through." Alex glanced at Jake, a silent conversation passing between them. They knew they were taking a risk, but they couldn't turn their backs on the sisters, not when they needed them most. "All right," Jake said, holstering his weapon. "We're here to listen, but this stays between us, okay?" And so in the quiet of the night, the four of them sat down and talked. Lara and Kira poured out their hearts, sharing their fears and doubts, their hopes and dreams. Jake and Alex listened intently, offering words of comfort and encouragement. As Jake and Alex listened to Lara and Kira's stories, they found themselves drawn to the sisters' strength and determination. The soldiers had faced their own battles, and the aliens' tales of perseverance struck a chord within them. Jake admired Lara's fierce loyalty and unwavering spirit. Her passion ignited a longing within him for a deeper connection, one that went beyond physical attraction. He wanted to understand her, to support her in any way he could. Alex, meanwhile, was captivated by Kira's intelligence and curiosity. Her thirst for knowledge mirrored his own, and he felt a strong bond forming between them. He yearned to explore the universe by her side, to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. As the night wore on, the four of them found themselves opening up to each other, sharing their hopes, dreams, and fears. The walls between them crumbled, replaced by a growing sense of trust and understanding. "I never thought I'd feel this way about anyone, let alone someone from another world," Jake confessed, his eyes locked on Lara's. "But getting to know you, even in this short time, feels right, like it's meant to be." Lara reached out, her hand gently cupping his cheek. "I feel the same way, Jake. I never believed in destiny until I met you." Alex and Kira exchanged a glance, their hands inches apart, yearning to touch. "I know we've just met," Kira whispered, "but I feel like I can trust you, Alex, like we could face anything together." Alex smiled, his fingers gently brushing against hers. "I'll always be here for you, Kira. No matter what happens, we'll face it together." It was a love born in the heat of the moment, a connection forged through shared experiences and the promise of a future together. And as they sat there, their hearts laid bare, they knew that they had found something rare and precious, a love that could overcome any obstacle. But their newfound happiness was short-lived. For even as they basked in the warmth of each other's company, dark forces were gathering on the horizon. The Xandarian High Council had learned of Lara and Kira's growing attachment to Earth and its inhabitants. and they were not pleased. They saw the sisters' newfound empathy and understanding of individual freedom as a threat to their way of life, a cancer that needed to be excised before it could spread. And so they sent a team of elite warriors to Earth with orders to eliminate the sisters and anyone who stood in their way. The stage was set for a battle that would test the limits of their love and loyalty, a fight for survival that would change the course of their lives forever. The attack came without warning, a blinding flash of light that lit up the night sky like a second sun. Lara and Kira were jolted awake by the sound of explosions and the screams of terrified humans. They leapt out of bed, their bodies tense and ready for battle. They knew what was coming, the inevitable confrontation with their own people. Jake and Alex burst into the room, their faces grim and determined. "We have to get you out of here," Jake said, his voice tight with urgency. "The Xandarians are here, and they're not taking any prisoners." Lara and Kira exchanged a glance, a silent conversation passing between them. They knew what they had to do, the sacrifice they had to make. "No," Kira said, her voice calm and steady. "We won't run. We won't let them destroy everything we've built here." Lara nodded, her eyes blazing with determination. "We'll fight side by side until the end." Jake and Alex hesitated, torn between their duty and their love. But in the end, they knew they couldn't let the sisters face this threat alone. Together, the four of them raced out into the chaos, their weapons drawn and their hearts pounding. They fought their way through the streets, taking down Xandarian warriors with a deadly combination of skill and desperation. The battle raged around them, laser blasts and explosions filling the air. Lara and Kira fought side by side with Jake and Alex, their movements perfectly synchronized as they took down one Xandarian warrior after another. They fought not just for themselves, but for each other, for the love that had grown between them in the face of adversity. Each blow they struck, each shot they fired, was fueled by the strength of their bond. "Jake, watch out!" Lara shouted, tackling him to the ground just as a laser blast whizzed past his head. Jake grinned up at her, his heart pounding with a mixture of adrenaline and affection. "Thanks for the save, gorgeous." Lara smirked, pulling him to his feet. "Anytime, handsome. Now let's finish this." Across the battlefield, Alex and Kira were locked in a fierce melee with a group of Xandarian elites. They moved as one, their bodies and minds perfectly attuned to each other. "Kira, duck!" Alex yelled, swinging his laser rifle like a club and taking out a warrior who had been sneaking up behind her. Kira flashed him a grateful smile before spinning and firing off a series of shots that dropped 3 more Xandarians. "Nice one, Alex. We make a pretty good team, don't we?" "The best," Alex agreed, his eyes shining with pride and love. As the battle reached its climax, the four of them found themselves back to back, surrounded by a sea of enemies. But even in that desperate moment, they knew that they would never surrender, never give up on each other or the love they shared. With a final desperate push, they broke through the Xandarian lines, their human allies surging forward to join them. The tide had turned, and victory was within their grasp. And as they stood there, battered and bloodied but unbroken, they knew that their love had been their greatest weapon, their most powerful ally. They had faced the worst the universe could throw at them and emerged stronger, united by a bond that could never be broken. In the end, the Xandarians were defeated, their warriors scattered and their ships destroyed. Lara and Kira stood tall amidst the rubble, their bodies battered but their spirits unbroken. Jake and Alex rushed to their side, their faces streaked with sweat and blood. They embraced the sisters, their hearts swelling with pride and relief. "You did it," Jake whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion. "You saved us all." Lara smiled, her eyes shining with tears. "No, my love, we did it together." And as the sun rose over the shattered city, casting a warm glow over the survivors, they knew that they had found something worth fighting for. They had found a love that could overcome any obstacle, a bond that could unite even the most unlikely of allies. They had found a home, a place where they belonged, and they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, side by side, until the very end. Years had passed since that fateful battle, but the love between Lara, Kira, Jake, and Alex had only grown stronger with time. They had faced countless challenges together, both on Earth and among the stars, but their bond had never wavered. They stood now on a hilltop overlooking the city they had helped to rebuild, their hands clasped tightly together as they watched the sun set over the horizon. The scars of the past had faded, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. "I never thought I'd find a home here," Lara murmured, leaning her head against Jake's shoulder. "But being with you, building a life together, it feels right." Jake pressed a kiss to her forehead, his arm tightening around her waist. "You are my home, Lara. Wherever you are, that's where I belong." Kira and Alex exchanged a smile, their eyes shining with the depth of their love. "We've been through so much together," Kira said softly, "but I wouldn't change a single moment of it, because it brought us here to this moment." Alex nodded, his hand gently squeezing hers. "And whatever the future holds, we'll face it together, just like we always have." As the last rays of sunlight faded from the sky, the four of them stood together, united by a love. They had found their place in the universe, and nothing could ever tear them apart.